because it's where it becomes the most useful. So you understand just the main understanding of what meditation is. And that was his teaching of the mango trees at Wat Pah Pong. He always used to say that his monastery was a mango orchard, and the trees were planted by the Buddha himself, which was obviously rubbish because that monastery had only been there for about 20 years when I was there. And he said that those mango trees were just full of ripe, sweet, delicious mangoes. And he said, because of the great wisdom and compassion of a Buddha, you monks, nuns, laymen, lay women, you don't have to climb the mango tree to get a mango. You don't even need to shake the tree or throw sticks up to get the mango. All you need to do is sit perfectly still under the mango tree and hold out your hand, and a mango will fall into it. And that was the end of Ajahn Chah's great simile. And I've said many times, when I first heard that, I thought Ajahn Chah was absolutely crazy. He needed to get a life. He didn't understand mango trees, because I knew enough mango trees by that time. If you did sit underneath it, the mango would never fall. You'd be sitting under there for days or weeks before one fell, and if one did fall, where would it fall? On top of your head, rather than in your hand, somewhere else. There's a crazy simile at first, because I, like many others, was a striver. If I wanted to achieve anything, I worked hard for it. And just the idea of getting a mango without climbing the tree, without throwing a stick up or shaking that tree, was just impossible. It never made any sense to me. Just like for many of you who think, if I just sit here and do perfectly nothing, that all these amazing meditation states will arise. That's counterintuitive. You think, no, it can't work. But that's what Ajahn Chah was saying. You sit perfectly still, open the door of your heart with compassion, and all these amazing states of meditation, they just fall into your hand, into your mind. But you go shaking the tree, nothing ever falls. Come on, come on, I've been here for 6 hours already, I still haven't got jhana. No, that is shaking the tree, or climbing up the tree. Okay, today, now I've been on these retreats so many times, this retreat, I'm really going to do it. I've been so many retreats, and this is absolutely perfect, no obstacles, this is it, I'm going to go for it. That's like climbing up the tree, or in Australia we call climbing up the wall, because that's what it feels like. And the other thing is throwing things up. Come on, get your act together, stop being sleepy, get up earlier, do this, do that. That does not work. The only thing which works to enjoy these amazing states of meditation is you sit perfectly still under the mango tree or under the Bodhi tree. Open up your heart, and all these things will fall into you when you're not shaking the tree. And to illustrate this, because people want to know where they are, they want to have maps. How many of you come here for this retreat, try to find this place on Google Maps or on the TomToms or the GPS? This place, just like other secret establishments of the CIA, is not located on the GPS, which is why you get lost if you follow the GPS. On the GPS, I think Jhana Grove is located somewhere in the middle of the forest, way over that way, which is why you get lost. That's done on purpose. This is secret place. So no one knows where it is. It's off the maps. No, we all like maps to try and find out where we are. It gives us a sense of security. We're in the right direction. And so because of this, we do have stages of meditation. But that's all they are. They are landmarks. It's just what happens when you let go. These aren't stages to attain, not goals you will try and reach, but just landmarks on the journey, things which happen when you let go. And in order to both tell you about the landmarks of meditation, the stages of stillness, and re-emphasize the way these things occur, I developed many years ago the old simile, which those of you who've been here before, you've heard before, but the reason why you're going to hear it again is because last time you didn't understand this simile. If you did, you wouldn't be here anymore. You'd be enlightened and free and wouldn't need to come to this joint anymore. But because you never understood it, that's why I have to repeat it. So don't go complaining. We heard this last time, Ajahn Brahm. Yes, but if you understood it, you wouldn't be here another time. So your fault. That is the 1,000-petal lotus simile. And lotus is a very old symbol of Buddhism, and the 1,000-petal lotus is another symbol. Many, many things about a lotus. You have that symbol of it growing in the dirt and the mud in the bottom of the lake, and going right through the dirt, through the water, into the bright sunlight outside, just like a human being. It doesn't matter where we come from, we can still go to the heavens, still can become enlightened. So I don't care what you've been doing, where you've come from. Every human being, as far as I'm concerned, are capable of getting the very highest. Doesn't matter how stinky the mud in which you've been born and grown up and all the experiences of your early life. That's got nothing to do with it. You can still grow out through the water into the sunlight. But the best simile of the lotus, which I like, the second best, the best is the 1,000-petal lotus. The second best is the fact that all this stuff, water, whatever, it always falls off the lotus. So if anyone pees on a lotus, the urine just falls totally off, leaving no residue. Or the opposite, if someone pours Chanel No. 5, or whatever else is the most expensive perfume, and don't expect me to know what the expensive perfumes are, I'm a monk. If you pour expensive perfume on a lotus, it too just rolls off, leaving no residue. So whether it's urine or perfume, nothing remains. And I like to use that simile. When people praise you, oh, you're the best caretaker in the whole world since the time of the Buddha down here, then it just rolls straight off you. Or you're the laziest, most incompetent caretaker ever since the first Buddha, Sumedha, even longer ago. That too just rolls totally off you, leaving no residue. Praise and blame, criticism and adulation, just like perfume and piss off a lotus. It just flows away, leaving no residue. So if ever anyone is really laying into you, criticizing you, telling you the worst hopeless monk, blah, 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 whatever it is, I always remember I'm a lotus. So yeah, it falls on you, but it just rolls off, leaving no residue. And if anyone praises me and say what a wonderful person I am, just like a lotus, but I usually curl the leaves a little bit so it pulls a little bit for a little while before it falls off. But the best simile is of the 1,000-petal lotus, because that is closed up at night time. And in the morning, when the first light and warmth of the sun hit the outermost petals, that is a signal some chemical reaction happens, and the outermost petals open up to reveal the layer of petals inside. So they can now receive the light and the warmth of the sun, so they can open up as well, revealing the second layer of petals, which can now receive the warmth and light of the sun, so it too can open up. Whenever the warmth and light of the sun hit the outermost layer of petals, it opens up to reveal the petals, the layer inside. This is the way a lotus opens up. And with a lotus, the outside is always unpromising. Anyone who doesn't know a lotus, they see this hard ball, this ball with pointy top to it. And you never imagine, if you didn't know what a lotus was, if you saw this for the first time, you'd never know there were such beautiful, fragrant petals inside. Because outside it's got no fragrance. It's not beautiful, it's rough, it's coarse, because it has to protect the inner petals. And that's a simile for you. Outside you may be coarse, you may be rough. About this time last year, he's not here this time, I don't mind saying, there was a guy who got the best meditation of everybody on this retreat. He had all these tattoos on him. He looked like, some sort of a reject bikie. He couldn't get sort of his colours in the bikie club. But he's this really big, tough guy. But he came in the interviews, he had these incredible meditations. You never judge the outermost petal of the lotus. You can't judge what's inside, and it surprises you what's inside. So if you just see yourself, you haven't opened up yet, you think, oh, me, no way. I'm just rough, coarse, dirty, just like the outermost petal. But you wait and see. When I open you up, wow, is that what's inside of me? Wow. So, that's you, the lotus. How do you open up the lotus? You don't get the edges of the petals and peel them. You break them. You kill the lotus. You need the warmth and the light of the sun. And what does that represent? The warmth is kindness, compassion. The light is awareness, mindfulness. Together, the light and the warmth of the sun is that old friend, kindfulness. That is what opens up a lotus. Light without warmth, warmth without light, the two need to go together. So in this meditation, you shine your mindfulness and kindness on you, your body and your mind. And it opens up. The outermost petal is this old body of yours. Some of your bodies are more ancient than others. Some of you are prehistoric. You're really getting old, and it shows. And you think, oh, there's no hope for me. There's just nothing really amazing inside, but you'd be surprised. So you shine mindfulness and warmth. You may have a sick body. It doesn't matter. The incredible thing about this method of meditation, you may be sick, you may be old, you maybe have a bad leg. It doesn't matter. Because if you just shine your mindfulness and kindness on your own body, your body relaxes. Because it relaxes, the aches and pains tend to get less and less and less. And because there's nothing much going on in the body, there's nothing really to deal with, the body vanishes. It disappears. It's no longer a problem for you. It's not taking all your attention. You don't have to sneeze, you don't have to cough, you don't have to scratch, because for once your body is comfortable. My body is never as comfortable as when you're meditating. Simply because you relax everything when you're meditating, and everything gets so peaceful, so still, because it's not a problem anymore. You're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're not got an ache here or a pain there, which takes your attention, it disturbs you. You'll find out when you really get into meditation, you can sit perfectly still. It's not because you're resisting the urge to scratch. It's not because you're stopping the cough. You don't need to cough. You don't need to scratch. You don't need anything because the body is relaxed and still. It's not disturbing you anymore. It's not agitated. So this becomes the first stage of the meditation. It's not what you aim for. So please do not set any goals on this retreat. It's not what you aim for, it's just what happens when you shine kindfulness onto your body. The body relaxes. And I like pausing on that because even though this is basic meditation, still many people don't even do that first stage of the meditation. They can never leave their body. There's always an ache or a pain. And sometimes they feel the best thing to do is to hang in there, be tough. This is not a boot camp for US Marines. This is Buddhist meditation. Don't fight. There is also, to warn everybody, a good example of this. In many, many meditations I did a long time ago, every now and again someone would burst out with a loud cough. Because when it was a small cough, they didn't just let it out. Just instead, they decided to suppress it, to control it. And with irritations in the throat or even sneezing, there is something in meditation that I name the volcano effect. If you stop the natural processes and you try and resist it, the cough, it will be very small and very soft if you did it straight away, but you resist it, you say, no, I'm not going to cough, I'm not going to disturb anybody, and it builds up pressure, just like in a volcano. And eventually, the pressure is so great, the volcano blows. And even people in the kitchen can hear you cough, let alone people here. And even worse, just like a real volcano, it's not just the explosion, there's also the fact that you spew all this very unhealthy fluids over all the people around you, which is not a good thing to do. So if you want to cough, cough. Thank you, the very sort of good disciple out there who decided to cough. Just on cue. But you didn't need to go outside, you could have stayed inside. So just cough, because that is being kind and mindful to your body and stopping controlling it. You know, this is how we have been trained ever since we were small, to control our body, which is one of the reasons why it gets so tense, rather than learning how to relax. We're very good at doing things and putting on faces and doing the right thing, but we're very, very unskilled at learning how to relax. So this is just letting things be, not controlling. And that means that you can let this body go. Just with mindfulness and kindness, the body actually relaxes. And when it relaxes, it's not a problem anymore. Then you can deal with the mental world. The body's opened up. Now you're in your mental world, the first layer of internal petals of your lotus. And it doesn't matter, you may be old and ugly like me, but I don't know actually why. I just went to Indonesia, and there was 8 cities, 8 talks, 8 days, and about 80,000 photographs. And I'm not joking. That, you know, there was 5,000 in one place, 3,000 in another. We took 2 or 3 photos each. So it must have been about that many, maybe 80,000, a bit much, maybe 40, 50,000, but that's a lot of photos. And I'm not a supermodel, I'm not like David Beckham, I'm not sexy. And what do you want to take a photograph of a 61-year-old monk for? It was fat anyway. I can't understand people. But anyway, that's what they did. So the body is just, you know, it sucks. But when you go into the first level of, you know, the lotus, your mind, I mean, that's much more beautiful, much more interesting. So what do you do when you first, you know, let the body go and you're in the mind? You've got all your thoughts, what we call all your past and all your future, all this stuff which fills up your mental world. That's the first layer of petals. So what do you do to all those thoughts, say, of the past? I'm not supposed to think of the past. Come into the present moment. Come into the present moment. And starting about, no future, you're going to be in the present moment. They've already told you that's not the way to meditate. You find that if you do that through force, you won't be able to stop the thinking. The past and the future will just dominate you. That is not the way to open up the lotus. Instead, just be aware and be kind. Mind, so you want to think of the future, that's okay with me. Off you go. When you come back, let me know. That actually works. There was the story, I gave a retreat somewhere recently. I forget anyway. But tell these stories again and again. The last story was about this mother from Perth. I think that's what it was told in Singapore, I think. And similar one was this counselor, one of the early Buddhist fellowship counselors, who she came to do a retreat here in Perth, and I told her this story. She was actually totally irreverent and started rolling on the floor, holding her tummy, laughing when I told this story. It wasn't because the story was funny, because she said, "You wouldn't believe this happened to me." She said, "I was 6 years of age. I had an argument with my mother, and I was so upset at her, I told my mother, 'Mummy, I don't love you anymore. I am leaving home.'" This was a very, very amazing little girl. So obviously she's an amazing girl now. But even as a 6-year-old, she was so courageous, she said, "Right, I'm leaving home." And her mother was so smart, she said, "Okay, I will help you pack." I know many mothers will like that idea of the little monster leaving home. But actually, to think about that, you may think about that, but actually to do it is something else. So, the mother helped her pack her little suitcase. And in the Australian version of the story, this woman who told me it, she said her mother also made her some sandwiches for her lunch before she left home. But in Singapore, they don't do that. The mother just gave her a 20 Sing Dol check. Say, "Get your own lunch." So there was a little kid, in the apartment block in one of these big block of flats, the HDB flats, and at the elevator, at the lift, with her little bag and her $20 note, ready to go off into life, left home at last because she didn't like her mother. And the mother was waiting at the elevator doors open, the little girl went in, "Bye-bye, darling, have a wonderful life, don't forget to write." And then the 6-year-old went off into her life. The mother let her go. If a mother can let a 6-year-old go, can't you let go of little things like past and future and stuff like that? Let go of your mind, let it be. And of course, the mother was very smart. She knew psychology, she knew her daughter. The daughter got to the ground floor, and by that time, the little 6-year-old was already homesick. So just pressed the button of the floor where she lived, and the elevator went back up, and the mother was waiting. "Welcome home, darling." And that was the end of her trying to leave home. You can understand that as brilliant psychology. If you tell that kid, "No, you can't leave home. No, you're too young. No," if you try and control the kid gets worse. So the kid's going to come back, pretty quickly. A 6-year-old, for goodness sake. So she said, "Okay, off you go. I'll help you pack." And the kid went away and came straight back. Now, I love that simile for your mind. If your mind decides to go off into some fantasy world or thoughts of the past and the future, and it really wants to go, say, "Okay, off you go. I'll help you pack. Give it a $20 note for its lunch. Off you go." And you'll be surprised, because you are kind to your mind, the mind doesn't want to go anywhere. It wants to stay with you. You try and stop the thinking. "No, I mustn't think of the future. I mustn't think of the past. I mustn't do this, mustn't do that." How many times have you done that? Does it work? Of course it doesn't. That's one of the biggest problems in meditation. People think they can control the mind, when actually controlling is what stops it being still. With the mindfulness and kindfulness, or mindfulness and kindness, or kindfulness, that is the cause for stillness. That is the cause that the mind settles down and becomes more and more peaceful. All those thoughts, whether it's the past or the future, or fantasies or dreams, all of that is just waves on the surface of the mind. That's how we experience an agitated mind. And to have those things disappear, trying to stop them, is literally like seeing waves on a pond of water and trying to put your hand to pat the tops down, or trying to smooth it down. That will never work. Every time you touch the water, you make more waves. Every time you try and stop the mind, you just make more thoughts. That does not work. Instead, you just use mindfulness and kindness, the warmth and the light of the sun. Mindfulness and kindness. Okay, so you're thinking of the future, be mindful, be kind. Thinking of the past, be mindful, be very, very kind. And you'll find that those thoughts will get less and less and less. simply because you're getting to the underlying cause of restlessness, rather than just trying to look at the symptoms and deal with the symptoms. You're seeing the causes. All the causes is not being happy, not being content. Just be mindful, be kind, and you'll find those thoughts stop. And you're peaceful, and you never did anything. You're just mindful and kind all the time. Have you ever noticed when someone's angry and cruel to you, it creates enormous disturbance? When someone's really kind to you, you relax, and your seconds, minutes are peaceful. It's the kindness is more important than mindfulness in meditation. We do need the both of them there. Kindfulness. And so you're just watching this mind, mindful and kind to it. I know that sometimes people come and say, look, I was kind to my mind, I let it go, and I thought all afternoon. I fantasized the weirdest dreams and sexual fantasies. I was wasting so much time. It doesn't work. It didn't work because you weren't kind. You weren't really compassionate. You were doing this for a purpose. There's one other way of trying to control your mind. So really be kind to us. Really look at your mind as something separate from you. Not owned by you, but something separate. And your job is just to be really, really kind to it. If you have a pet at home, a dog or a cat, if you're cruel to the dog will bark and bite you. I always remember this. I always collect these weird stories. I remember reading a newspaper once. The main news I don't usually read. I usually start with the comics. And then you have these weird story sections, which I really loved. There was a couple of New York policemen. They had suspicions that this guy was a thief, a burglar. So they went to his house. Because this guy was a big guy and possibly violent, they took their police dog with them. So there was 2 New York policemen with a police dog interviewing this guy who was suspected of burglary. And they interviewed him for over an hour. But this guy, the dog was sitting there, nothing to do, so this suspect was stroking the dog all through the interview. And obviously the dog liked being petted by this guy, because when the policeman decided they had enough evidence to charge him, and they tried to put handcuffs on this suspected burglar, the dog bit the 2 policemen. Yeah, good on you, dog. So if you're the police force, don't let the suspect pet the dog. The dog will turn on the policeman. But you can see that even dogs and cats, they respond to kindness. They settle down, become nice and peaceful. So does your mind. So look upon your mind like a pet, like a dog or a cat. Don't be cruel to it. So if you want to go for a run in the garden, that's fine. Nice mind. If that's what you do, that's fine by me. And then your dog, your cat likes you so much, it always likes hanging out with you. It follows you wherever you want to, wherever you go. This is what happens with kindness. Kindness is what unites you with something. So if you're kind to your mind, the mind will stay at home more. It won't go off into the future or past more. Please understand this and try this and do it properly, because this is basically, it is the only way to stop the thinking mind. Not through force. Mindfulness and kindness calms the mind down, so you don't need to think. And then you get to this beautiful, peaceful state. No past, no future. On Easter, we were just joking about this when I came home. I gave a talk at UWA, local university law school yesterday. There's so much traffic on the roads afterwards because this is Easter time. And everybody in Perth usually goes down south to get away from everybody. And everybody else goes down south as well. So where they go, everyone else, they don't get away from anything. It's crowded down there. That's a stupid thing to try and get away from it all by going to these resort places. The only way to get away from it all is to come to a place like Jhana Grove. You get away from all your past and all the future, all the place which gives you so much turmoil and problems. I don't know where you've been in the past, but there's so much business and trouble. Isn't it wonderful to be able to, as I say, to find the delete button in your head and delete your past, at least for 8 days. So be totally free, no history at all, no hurt, no pain, no traumas from the past to confine you and restrict you. Totally free. And press the delete button for the future as well. So all your worries and concerns, what's going to happen to you in your future, you can also totally forget. I like the story of this, it's an old Sufi story. This guy Nasruddin, if you want to learn some nice Islam, the Sufi in this guy Nasruddin, he was really a character. Because he was unorthodox, he was always on the edge of being called a heretic. And once he actually was called a heretic. And this was supposed to be in ancient Persia. And the Shah had no choice but to investigate. And of course his enemies had the chance to say all these things and get back at this smart-ass Nasruddin fellow. And of course, what they said that he'd done and said, the Shah had no choice. He said, look, I really like you to such great entertainment, but the law is the law. I've got to convict you of heresy. And unfortunately that means a death sentence. I'll have to execute you. And this Nasruddin said, oh, what a shame, because I was just about to teach your donkey how to fly through the air. And the Shah said, what do you mean, donkey, flying through the air? Can you actually do that? He said, yeah, I just found out how to do it, but I won't be able to do that now, sorry, so you better execute me. And it was such a weird thing to say. The Shah said, well, hang on a bit. What I will do to you, I will commute your sentence for 12 months, 1 year, so you can teach a donkey how to fly. And if you're lying, and if you can't do this, if you can't succeed within 1 year, then I will execute you. And so Nasruddin got out of court, and he was smiling and happy, and all his friends said, can you really teach donkeys how to fly? He said, of course not. No one can do that. Don't be stupid. Well, why did you say that? Well, look, I've got an extra 12 months of life. And who knows what happens in the future? Maybe the Shah may be deposed in a coup. Maybe he will die of a heart attack, or I'll die of a heart attack or something in the meantime. At least I'm not going to be executed. And 1 year later, I'll think of something else to say. And that was a great story about not worrying about your future. Who knows what's going to happen? So don't even worry about it or think about it. I'm not sure what I'm going to say next, ever, in these talks. So I don't worry about it. Just see what happens. So that's why we don't need, there's no purpose on this retreat worrying at all about your future. I don't know what you're going to do when you get home, but if you really want to, I can arrange you some powers to get a meteor from outer space to hit this place on the very last day of the retreat. So you have no future anyway, nothing to worry about. So just meditate, free, you don't have anything to worry about. No finances, no wife, no husband, no kids to worry about, no health problems. All you've got is 7 or 8 days before the meteor hits. Oh, what bliss. It might happen, Who knows? But what it does, it means you forget about that damn future. You are really getting away from it all. And so when you really relax, just be mindful, be kind, you get so peaceful. And I've already mentioned the delight of a relaxed body. This is a delight of a relaxed mind. You feel so good, you're in the moment, you're here, you're a human being rather a human going or a human lingering in the past. You're a being, you're here. And that's just a relief. You really have got away from it all. All your past and future, your worries and concerns, all this thing, I want to get in line. To hell with that. Be here. Enlightenment, jhanas don't exist in the future. So I'm going to get jhanas. Well, you never get it that way. That's in the future sometime. Be in this moment. Be present and just relax. That's the way to get all these attainments. So there you are in this present moment. Hardly a thought going on in the mind. What do you do next? Just be kindful. In these interviews, so often people come up to me in the interview and say, I got to this stage of meditation, what should I do next? If I had a hammer, I'd hit you on the head. I've been telling you, just be mindful and be compassionate. But no, this is not ordinary meditation. I'm in the nimitta stage. All these lights go up. Oh, for goodness sake, just be mindful, be kind. But I've got to do something. Just be mindful, just be kind. That's all you need to do at every stage in the meditation. The light and the warmth of the sun opens up all the petals, even the ones inside. So there you are, you're in the present moment. And in the present moment, mindful and kind. You're not thinking anymore. The mind has settled down. These waves and ripples on the surface stop. And as you're just here, just in this present moment, without a thought in the mind, you know what comes up next? Where this time opens up. So no past, no future, so you're right in the middle. It's a beautiful silence, and in that silence, you can feel your breath. Sometimes people thought that breath meditation is something you do. Focus on the tip of the nose. Focus on your belly. Watch your breath going in. Watch your breath going out. You don't do that. It's something which just happens. So just opening up that lotus, in the middle of time, you'll find your breath. You're just aware of it. You didn't choose to be. It's just there. And the reason is this. Your body is relaxed, it's got still, nothing much is happening there. All this background noise of thinking, past and future has disappeared. That's the only thing moving now. Your breath, going in, going out. That's why you're aware of it. Everything else has stopped. Just your breath is moving, so you're just aware of the breath. And what do you do? Am I supposed to watch the beginning and the end of the breath? Good God, no. Just be mindful, be kind to this feeling of the breath. And you find just quite naturally the breath gets very smooth. You go into the full awareness of the breath, not because you try, because you don't try. The full awareness of the breath just happens. Just aware of the breath from the very beginning to the very end. From the very beginning of the next breath to its very end. Quite naturally, without any effort, because you're just being mindful and kind. The lotus petals are opening up. And these are getting very fragrant and very beautiful. At this time you feel so peaceful, so nice. It's blissful meditation. And if any of you are just still struggling, you're going in the wrong direction. There's one little book which was written by Venerable Jhana, which I used to read out every other rains retreat, called The Word of the Buddha. It was quotes from the canon. And one of his best translations from the Pali is the Buddha saying that this is a path without groaning. No groanings, no effort, no sort of struggle, no hard slog. If you're slogging away, really trying and pushing through this, that's not the path of Buddhism. It's a path without groaning, without problems, without trouble. You just sit there, you're just letting go, being mindful and kind. And the deeper you go, the more delightful, beautiful, enjoyable it is. And there you are, just in this breath which becomes very, very delightful. Very soft, very beautiful, a very deep inner layer of petals, fragrant, beautiful. You don't do anything. Soon that breath will vanish. Whatever happens in meditation, don't think, oh, I'm going in the wrong direction. What's happening? What should I do next? Just be mindful, be kind. And the breath vanishes. It's not there anymore, you can't feel it. It's got so soft, so even. it doesn't really register on your brain anymore. The brain will only notice things which are moving, things which are a problem, things which are changing. When things become smooth and constant, the brain turns off, can't experience them anymore. So there, with the breath disappearing, that's the last part of your fifth sense, called physical touch, has vanished. You understand, this is part, the body, you've gone right inside the body now. That was the last remnant of the body, the breath, feeling the breath. Now you're in the realm of your mind. The five senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and the last one, touch, have gone. Now you're into that sixth sense, the mind. And it's usually so beautiful. That's where you see these lights called the nimittas. A lot of times that people do the right thing until that stage. When they see a nimitta, they get excited. If they had a camera, they'd take a photograph of it. I don't know why people take photographs. Why you try and keep the past? They get excited or afraid. They try and own and control these states. Even these are beautiful states. Please don't disturb them. I know there's one culture which said, whenever you see a flower in the forest, never pick it. You're killing it and taking it to a place where it doesn't belong, even in front of a Buddha. Leave the flowers in the forest where they grow. The same with the nimittas. Don't pluck it, don't pick it, leave it where it belongs. Your job is just to be aware and be kind to those beautiful flowers called the nimittas, which arise in the mind. Remember, your main job is becoming more and more still, more and more calm. The more still you are, the more these things arise. When you agitate the mind by doing something, by wanting something, by grasping it, it will just make more waves and you go backwards. Mindfulness and kindness is just letting things be. It's the cause of stillness. And each of these stages in meditation are just the stages of stillness. The deeper you are still, then these deeper stages just arise by themselves. So when you're mindful and kind, these nimittas, they just stop moving up and down. They stop pulsating. They stop coming and going. They just stay with you and become very, very stable. Just deeper stages of stillness. And the more stable they become, the more intense they become. Stillness is what creates powerful mindfulness. And you experience that mindfulness by those nimittas, which are nothing more than the reflection of your own mind, becoming very, very intense in their brightness. So brilliant that, I say this every time, so brilliant that often you think that you cannot take such a light, that you go blind. I say that because that happened to me once. Until you realize that you're not seeing these with your eyes, you're seeing this with your mind. And I say that because many other people have nimittas, they say it's just too bright, so I had to open my eyes. No, just be mindful, be kind, you don't have to do anything. You don't go blind. You're not seeing this with your eyes. It's a mental image. Just be mindful, be kind. And they get very, very still, very powerful. More and more still, powerful. And by this stage, you start getting in to the wonderful bliss better than sex. Oh, what fun to come on a retreat and have a greater time, than with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Hours and hours of bliss. Ooh, this is nice. And this is what happens. You don't aim for that, that's just par for the course. But as Ronald Reagan used to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because by even deeper stillness, you don't do anything, just mindfulness and kindness, and those beautiful nimittas open up. And inside, you get into these jhanas. I was very fortunate. I got some incredibly good karma. That my first meditation teacher, he told us all that my aim for you is just for you to experience this first absorption, you would call it, the first jhana. And that's my aim for each one of you. So you can experience that bliss as well, of the jhanas. Then you get some understanding of why we meditate and what Buddhism actually is. Don't worry about asking questions. Is jhana important for enlightenment? Do you need jhanas to get soul one, stream winning? No, can you get stuck on the jhanas? Please experience one of these jhanas for yourself, and then all those questions will be quite obvious what the answers are. Fortunately, almost every retreat, someone gets a jhana, usually a few. Who knows? This time, it might be you. But you have to follow the instructions. You put the instructions in place, follow these instructions, and my goodness, it does work. If it doesn't work, you're not following the instructions, basically. It's just a cause and effect. It's nothing to do with you. Don't think, yeah, maybe something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not made to get a jhana. Maybe some people are born with those abilities, but me, no way, so I better go off and do vipassana. Absolutely no. Everybody has the ability to get these jhanas. It's just whether you follow the instructions or you don't follow the instructions. Remember, this is a state of stillness. So every time you do something, every time you try and attain something, every time you interfere, you are agitating your mind. You are putting off the jhanas later and later and later on. Your job is just to be still. Make peace, be kind, be gentle. Be aware and be kind. If you do that, you will also experience how amazing that Simile of a Lotus is. You just open up. And all these stages, you don't change your whole attitude, which is always just being aware and being kind to whatever's happening. The kindfulness. And that takes you right into the center. The jhanas and beyond. But beyond is going to be talked about at another day. So easy to... And again, if you're doing the walking meditation, again, just be mindful, be kind to your body as you're walking. Start at one end, go to the other end, and come back again, and keep on going until you get bored or fed up, or until you understand this is another way of letting go. Making peace, being kind. If you make peace, be kind. If you're aware and kind, you will find after a while the body just does the walking by itself. You're in the present moment, you become silent, you become aware of the feet. Sometimes people ask me, should I be aware of my breath or should I be aware of my feet? If you're aware of your breath and really aware of the breath, you'll bump into the wall. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you're aware of the feet and your surroundings, you will know when there's a time to stop at the end of the path before you carry on and go bang into the end of the wall. I've seen people do that. They're crazy people. They keep on walking and they don't know when to stop because they're watching their breath instead of watching the wall. So just be natural and see what happens. Because the stages of stillness in walking meditation are exactly the same. You sort of, your body gets nice and loose and relaxed as you're walking, so the body's no problem anymore. And then, you go into the present moment, because you start relaxing the mental world. No thinking, no goals, no place you're going, no place to go. You're just here. Who cares where you've come from? You're just here. Because all this past and future, where you begin, you come back to eventually. At the end of the past, you turn around and come back again. You don't have to really think about the past or the future, just the present moment. And then you don't think at all. Nothing to think about, just walking peacefully, relaxing the mind. And as you relax more and more, you usually do become aware of the feet moving, because that's the only thing really moving. It's the most obvious object which attracts the mind's attention, so you just walk, knowing the experiences of the feet. And just quite naturally you start to know much more about what the feet are doing. So many, it's amazing, thousands of different sensations in just lifting up your left foot. It's amazing. You become so aware, so refined, that what is normally for most people just lifting up a foot, it's amazing what goes on there. All the different muscles which have to move for one foot to lift up. You become aware of all those. Naturally, you don't try. This is a natural thing. And you're just walking so peacefully, so calm. And when you feel it's the right time, you stop and go and sit down again. It's very easy. So remember, basic instructions. Be mindful, be kind. And your lotus will open up and go right inside. And who knows, you may go deep enough to experience incredibly beautiful and fragrant petals, which are right inside you right now. Just need to open them up to experience them, called the jhanas. Simple and actually incredibly easy if you follow the instructions. So, there we go. A lovely morning talk to get you started. Are there any questions? Excellent. So just be mindful and be kind. If you feel that you are still catching up on your sleep because you're really tired, then mindfully and kindly lay your body down on your bed and have a nap. Any time of the day, or afternoon, nighttime, or wherever, even during one of my talks, if you have the guts to do this, but I don't think any of you have, you can lay down in this room and just go fast asleep. And I will not be offended. So be kind to yourself, instead of always being a control freak. Okay, so have a lovely morning. Lunch will be served at 11 o'clock. You have this whole day free with no compulsion to do anything except just to eat. Oh, what bliss. And just be in the moment and see what happens. In the afternoon, you can take a rest, you can go for a walk, you can meditate in here, you can meditate any place. Now, those of you who want to go over to Jhana, the monastery over the road, some people like that because the meditation hall over there has really got some power to it. It's got more power than here, but this is good enough. We're building this power up. You can always go and meditate over in Jhana if you want, in a meditation hall there. That is also allowable. So have a nice time. Rest, relax, be kind, and be aware. So easy. Can you remember that? So what are you supposed to do? Relax, yes. And how do you meditate? What are the two things you're supposed to do? And kind, yes. Very good. Okay, you can go now. You've passed. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Don't forget the at the end.